Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Black Clover episode 75, and it was a pretty fast-paced episode. They got through a lot of stuff, and it was pretty impressive, honestly. So first of all, lots and lots of fodder characters. Just like, I thought, I was kind of hoping that the last fight would be the last we've seen of just kind of like fodder characters that like, oh, they could show up maybe later, but they probably won't. But it seemed like every group of characters that like are already well established, they were always up against some like just like rando characters that like, whatever. They gotta fill out the tournament in some way, otherwise it's just all the named characters that we know and maybe love or hate. Either way, lots and lots of fodder characters, and it's almost too obvious to see who's going to win and who's going to lose these matches, at least in the early rounds. So at the end of the last episode, we got to meet Mimosa Vermilion's brother, and his name is Kirsch, and he's kind of obnoxious. He's obnoxious to not only the characters, but he's kind of obnoxious in general. He's really full of himself, and he thinks he's just the most beautiful person in the world. And it's funny because, like, he, like, even with Magna and Soul, he kind of, like, treats them with some respect. But then for some reason, he really does not like Asta. And that's not, like, Magna's not exactly royalty or anybody. So it's, like, weird for him to suddenly treat Asta like a weird person. Maybe it's because Asta, and Mimosa are so close together. I don't know, maybe there's some kind of deep down love for his sister that like it's not entirely out there normally. He's clearly does care for his sister in some capacity, but he's so up his own butt that it just comes off really just lame, and he's just really overly obnoxious. Like I can't stop using the word obnoxious. He is just kind of nuts. That being said, they really do a good job of setting him up as an obnoxious person that is too full of himself and up his own butt. And then him and Magna and Soul get into their battle, and he basically just takes charge. He is super smart. Seems like a really decent tactician. He even kind of teaches them to use their magic better than they were already. So he's actually pretty smart in the way of battling goes. So it's interesting to see that he has a bit of a brain, even if he's a bit of an airhead too. It's funny because the Magna, Kirsch, and Soul battle with their fodder people was probably the longest match in this episode, and we got through like 3 of them. We got through a bunch of these matches. They're just zipping through this just so they can get to the rounds where it's the main characters versus the other main characters, really. Also, I just want to say, so Kirsch, he's obviously just kind of really just flamboyant and weird. His magic follows exactly the suit. It's this long, drawn-out, he uses cherry blossom magic, and it's very beautiful, and I think it's a very cool magic for him to have, especially for his personality. But the names, man, the names are so long. I honestly don't know what the spell he used, but it's like this vortex of magic, petals, and it's kind of like a weird, like, it's like if Byakuya from Bleach decided to just name all of his stuff irrelevant things and was just crazy up his own butt. And that's basically what this was. So it's a bunch of petals flying around, making a vortex to distract their enemies. Well, Soul and Magna go after the crystal. And you know what? Again, it works for him, but it's just so crazy. I bet all of his spells are like dumbly named and are just long and drawn out. And I'd be willing to bet at some point somebody calls him on it. Now, before I move on from them and the first match of this episode, I do want to say something. So I was watching it, and Magna and Kirsch and Soul were like getting themselves like ready or whatever. They were getting into the battle, and then they cut back to a kind of a long shot of the spectators, and it's just like it's got them all on top of that building, and you see all the Black Bulls in a line. But then I'm pretty positive they accidentally drew Magna on there, because I tried to compare it to like any other shots, and the closest thing that we could get was it was another Magic Knight that may or may not have been in that same spot, depending on the depth of field. But it's certainly not that design, and he doesn't have the cloak that he has on. So I don't think it was him. The silhouettes, or not silhouettes, but the drawings are like kind of rudimentary and just like, here's a long shot. They don't need to put too much detail on it. I'm positive that they accidentally drew Magna in on through the spectators field, despite him being on the battlefield and doing stuff that they were all watching. So it's kind of funny that they missed that. So as I was saying, they basically zipped through these matches, basically. I think they just want to get to the second round as quickly as possible so that they, again, can have the essentially main characters and even just, like, at the very least, the named characters up against the other named characters. So they're definitely getting through this quickly so that the cast whittles down real fast, like. However, there are some cool parts in this episode. We saw Finral's team, and he's up with, I think Leo is his name, and I forget what his name is. The big fat guy from the Silver Dawns, not Silver Dawns, the Golden Dawns, and they worked pretty well together, honestly. Leo and this the big guy seemed pretty agreeable overall, despite being on different groups, different night squads. But overall, they all kind of worked very well together. Finral's doing his thing where he's zapping people, he's zipping people back and forth, and kind of tricking his enemies into thinking that they're going to attack each other. It overall went down pretty well, and they got their win pretty quickly, and especially compared to, like, Asta's match, and even technically Magna's match. That was probably the longest match of this episode. Finral's team just kind of did what they had to do, and they got it done, and it was pretty efficient. I honestly think that their team is going to be pretty fun, and I think they're a group of nice people, even though like Leo's kind of intense and always wants to compete. I think it'll be a good matchup for them against other teams that we've seen. Coincidentally, the very next matchup is Finral's brother's team, who that is Finral, the Aha guy, and then we got her name, but she's kind of a new character. I don't know whether she's going to be a reoccurring character. Clearly, she'll be a reoccurring character because she's on their team, but I don't remember her name, and she seems kind of designed a little bit down compared to all of the other named characters. So we'll see what happens with her. But, so it's Finral's brother. I don't know his name. He's a jerk, though. I don't like him. He's not very nice. He's not nice to anybody. I don't care for him. I guess that's kind of the point, though. He's a real dickhead. Ugh. Either way, they basically don't waste any time, and their match is the quickest of all. Aha brings out his trusty steed that looks really dumb, and Finral's brother just hops on the back and says, ride straight at the enemy. We'll just keep going. Don't go at almost top speed. Don't stop. And they win their match really quickly because Finral's brother got that, the spatial magic, but it's like more for attacks. So it's basically him just digging things out from a distance. He destroys the enemy's crystal, and that's all there really is we see of it. We don't even see the girl's magic much. It's a comedic relief thing. Aha basically just keeps flying and ends up running into a mountain, and then she seems to have some kind of healing magic, but we don't exactly know what her overarching ability is. Overall, again, this was a pretty quick episode in general. We got to see some interesting characters in Kirsch, and just seeing some dynamics between like obviously again Kirsch, Sol, and Magna, and Leo and Finral and the big guy from the Golden Dawn. But we got to see some good matchups and see how they work together. But again, they went through these matches really quickly. It wasn't drawn out in any stretch of the imagination. But overall, I thought it was a pretty enjoyable episode, despite it being kind of them just being like, let's get this tournament moving. And yeah, it's definitely an episode that basically they just want to get things to near the end. Get everybody to the next round. There's no point in drawing things out until the main characters and the named characters are fighting each other. Otherwise, it would just be a much smaller tournament, I guess. But we shall see how things go. I think it'll get a lot more interesting. Based on the intro, I get the feeling that Magna and Kirsch and Soul's team are going to go against Asta's team with Zerks and Mimosa, so that should be an interesting matchup. And definitely Finral's team is going to go against Finral's brother's team, and that'll be a good couple of matches going on. It also seems like it might devolve based on the intro into just basically a big brawl, because it seems like the spectating Black Bull members get involved. So I'm really pretty excited for things going forward now that we're kind of past the first part of the first round. I think there might be another. We got Yuno's team up against probably another kind of throwaway team. But once we get through this first round, I think things will really start heating up. But yeah, overall, I thought it was an okay episode in generally. It got us where we need to go, and we're just getting things going. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. What did you think about this episode? What do you think about the character dynamics with their teammates? And where do you see things going if you haven't already read the manga? Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. I would greatly appreciate it. It lets me know that you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so that you get all the kinds of notifications of when I upload. Well, that's all I got to say about this episode today. I will see you guys in another video. Hope you have an awesome day. Bye!